Imagine turning a breakup into one of the most powerful philanthropic stories of the 21st century. Most divorces end in bitterness, drama, maybe a tabloid headline or two. But when Mackenzie Scott split from Jeff Bezos, the richest man on earth at the time, she didn't just walk away with a massive settlement, she walked straight into history. While the world was watching Bezos launch rockets and date celebrities, Mackenzie quietly made a move no one expected. Instead of clinging to her billions or building a flashy empire of her own, she made a decision that flipped the billionaire playbook on its head. No press conferences, no personal brand, no ego trip. She signed the giving pledge, promised to donate the majority of her fortune, and then got to work. Fast. Her mission? Quietly funnel billions to communities that needed it most, without asking for recognition and without strings attached. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about competition. But make no mistake, what she's done in just a few short years has completely outshined the carefully managed PR machine behind Jeff Bezos' charitable efforts. This isn't just a story about money. It's about power, who uses it, how they use it, and what it really means to leave a legacy. And if you think that's impressive, wait until you hear how she's given away over $19 billion and still continues to rise in influence without ever stepping into the spotlight. In 2019, while the world was still buzzing about Amazon's next big move, Mackenzie Scott made one of her own, one that would quietly shift billions of dollars and reshape the landscape of philanthropy. After finalizing her divorce from Jeff Bezos, Mackenzie walked away with nearly 25% of Amazon's shares. At the time, that was worth between $35 to $38 billion. Not million, billion. Just like that, she became one of the richest women in America. No business empire, no years of grinding in boardrooms, just one calculated move during the split. But what makes this wild isn't how much she walked away with, it's what she did next. Most people in her shoes would have slowed down, played it safe, maybe hired a team of advisors to map out the next 10 years. But Mackenzie didn't wait. She didn't cling to the stock or use it to build a flashy brand. Instead, she treated that wealth like a ticking clock, one she was racing to give away before it ran out of impact. And here's the kicker. Even with that mountain of money, she refused to act like a typical billionaire. No new company, no Mackenzie Scott Foundation, just pure, direct giving. This wasn't a post-divorce shopping spree. It was a full-on redistribution of wealth. And it was just getting started. While most billionaires guard their wealth like a trophy, Mackenzie Scott flipped the entire narrative. She didn't just pledge to give her money away, she actually did it, and fast. No flashy press tours, no shiny new nonprofit with her name in lights. Instead, she created something called Yield Giving, a low-profile initiative with a high-impact mission to move massive amounts of money quickly to the people and organizations that need it most. But here's what made it different. Mackenzie wasn't interested in dragging things out over decades or controlling how the money was used. She didn't ask for recognition. She didn't require monthly reports. She trusted grassroots leaders and community groups, the kinds of organizations that often get ignored by traditional philanthropists. While others were announcing pledges and holding off on actual checks, Mackenzie was quietly dropping millions, sometimes hundreds of millions, into organizations overnight. No warning, no strings, no camera crews. It was wealth without ego, power without control, and generosity without performance. In a world where most billionaires treat giving like a branding strategy, Mackenzie Scott chose the one path that actually made a difference. Give big, give fast, and get out of the way. And the results? That's where things get even more shocking. Since 2019, Mackenzie Scott has done something no other billionaire on earth has pulled off. Not at this speed and not at this scale. In just 5 years, she's quietly distributed over $19 billion to more than 2,000 nonprofits. No conferences, no billionaire roundtables, no strings attached. Just check after check, life-changing, future-shaping money, landing in the hands of community organizations all across the country and beyond. And this isn't some trickle-down charity where groups get a few $1,000s and a thank you letter. Mackenzie's median gift is around $5 million. That's right, $5 million on average per organization. Most of these groups didn't apply. They didn't lobby for it. In many cases, they didn't even know they were on her radar. Then out of nowhere, a phone call, an email, a wire transfer, and everything changes. One community college in California got $15 million overnight. A food bank in Arkansas received $10 million. Small, often overlooked groups serving marginalized communities suddenly found themselves with enough funding to grow, hire, and actually breathe. It's not just the amount she's giving, it's the way she's giving it. Direct, fast, and with complete trust in the people on the ground. And while other billionaires are still mapping out what to do with their billions, Mackenzie's already moving on to the next organization, the next opportunity, the next act of quiet disruption. But not everyone is cheering her on. By early 2025, the results of Mackenzie Scott's bold approach finally had data to back it up, and the numbers were impossible to ignore. A study from the Center for Effective Philanthropy showed that her no-strings-attached donations weren't just generous, they were game-changing. Organizations reported major boosts in three key areas: long-term sustainability, staff morale, and the ability to scale programs fast. In simple terms, her money didn't just help, it transformed these nonprofits. Instead of scrambling for restricted funding or constantly applying for grants, leaders could finally focus on what really mattered: the mission. Some hired more staff, others expanded services to more cities. Many finally had the breathing room to plan long-term, not just month-to-month. And perhaps most importantly, employees felt seen, valued, and energized, all because they had resources without the usual red tape. Mackenzie's model proves something most billionaires still don't understand. Trust works. And when you invest in people, without trying to control them, the results speak for themselves. But while the nonprofit world was celebrating, some critics were starting to ask uncomfortable questions. While Mackenzie Scott is quietly wiring out billions with no red tape, Jeff Bezos is taking a very different route, and people are noticing. Bezos gives through structured initiatives like the Bezos Earth Fund and the Day One Families Fund, which sound great on paper. But they move slowly and come with strings attached. His donations are tightly managed, highly curated, and often delayed by layers of bureaucracy. Meanwhile, Mackenzie's out here dropping $10 million checks with zero conditions, no waiting, no paperwork, no PR tour. And then came his lavish 2024 wedding, a high-profile, multi-million-dollar affair with fireworks, celebrity guests, and a super yacht the size of a small country. It dominated headlines, and suddenly the public couldn't help but compare the two. Mackenzie's making quiet, high-impact moves. Bezos is throwing parties. The message? While he's crafting legacy projects and photo ops, she's reshaping entire communities without needing the spotlight. The contrast is hard to miss, and it's starting to reshape how we think about what real philanthropy looks like. But just when you think Mackenzie couldn't be more unconventional, she takes it a step further. Mackenzie Scott isn't just changing how philanthropy works, she's changing how we see wealth itself. In 2025, her impact goes far beyond the billions she's given away. Hollywood, journalists, and nonprofit leaders alike have started calling her the new blueprint for giving. Quiet, fast, no drama, and most importantly, no ego. She doesn't chase headlines, but the culture is taking notice. Documentaries, podcasts, even major award speeches have praised her as the rare billionaire using money to disappear, not dominate. Meanwhile, Jeff Bezos, despite pledging billions, is facing mounting backlash. His flashy lifestyle, over-the-top wedding, and constant media presence are painting a very different picture. One of indulgence, not impact. The public comparison is brutal. Mackenzie gives without being asked. Bezos often needs to be pushed. And in an age where people are increasingly skeptical of the ultra-rich, Scott is managing to do something almost no billionaire can. She's earning real respect. But don't mistake her quiet generosity for passivity, because her next move may be her boldest yet. So let's recap. Mackenzie Scott took one of the biggest divorce settlements in history. and turned it into one of the most radical philanthropic shifts we've ever seen. While Jeff Bezos sailed into 2025 with an extravagant wedding and carefully managed charity plans, Mackenzie quietly rewrote the playbook. Fast giving, no strings, real impact. She didn't just walk away from billions, she walked towards something bigger. And now the world is asking a new question. Who's really leading? The one with the bigger yacht, or the one rebuilding lives behind the scenes? Because maybe, just maybe, real power isn't about what you own. It's about how far you're willing to go to amplify good in the world. If that's the kind of story you want more of, stories that challenge power, spotlight impact, and make you rethink what wealth should do, hit that like button, drop a comment, and make sure you're subscribed. We're just getting started.